Welcome back to another episode of Dynasty Theory. I'm John Bauer. Find me on X at the Bauer Club. We have Dan Lamagna at Coach Dan Dynasty, and Mitch Sorensen is back. That's at Dino MC. Oh, I hope everybody's having a fantastic Tuesday. Wrapping up here, but not until we get through Dan's 2-minute drill. So let me get a second here. We got the timer locked and loaded. Dan, let's go.
My favorite time of the year, boys. Yes, Thanksgiving and Christmas, but also DFS winning lineups last weekend. Oh, yeah. And the fantasy playoffs starting in some leagues, which could make you feel like Moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans and dancing at the movies. Shout out Benson Boone. But no, here we go. Safe Leagues trade deadline before kickoff Thursday night. Be aware, Jets, Patriots, let's get trading. Scott Fishbowl playoffs also this week, as your boy here is ranked 99 out of 2,500 plus teams that advanced. Look forward to hearing where everyone else is at. 1 week before Thanksgiving during this 3-week season before all playoffs begin, and check those underdog and DraftKings best ball lineups. So much to be thankful for. Week 11 was holy injuries, Batman. Between confirmed news and upcoming injury reports, we are monitoring or making decisions on Calvin Ridley, Jalen Warren, Michael Penix, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Rodgers, Drake London, just to name a few. Ouch. And I'll even add the Eagles tackle Lane Johnson. Yes, a lineman, JB. Their O-line is the motor that makes the Eagles' sputtering engine run. Every week, I study and scour the best resources in the industry and try to make my own decisions for Dynasty, Redraft, and DFS. The overall industry take lock on Cash Greg Dortch and tourney-winning Michael Wilson last weekend was ridiculous. I'm glad I watched the games, and I was on more Michael Wilson than Greg Dortch last week, so the coach's eye didn't let me down. I wish I had better conviction, though, on Sean Tucker versus that poor Bills D like I did with the Cards versus the bad Niners D. Sadly, we can't have that one back. And could someone, for the love of the fantasy gods, explain Bryce Young QB2 on the week versus a Falcons D that has had moments, especially in Atlanta, as opposed to the Chargers in QB 32, who would have won me some big bucks this weekend, Justin Herbert, but he refuses to play well on the East Coast and especially tanked on many of us this Sunday versus the Jags. This week's targets for me, Zay, Harvey, Mooney, and Waller. Normal slate weekend, no international games, Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins, Commanders on a bye, Colts and Saints return.
Wow, at the buzzer. Dan, I do got to say, I'm throwing the red flag because you mentioned Thursday Night Football this week. You said Jets and Pats. That was last week, but that's okay.
Oh, snap. Bills and Texans. I was looking at my wrong notes.
I like how this has slowly dwarfed into Dan's 2-minute what happened last week in his DFS lineups drill, which I still like. It's a great recap, but I like how we're just slowly sliding more and more into that.
Got to sneak it in here and there, but guys, it all applies. The DFS goes to the Dynasty, Redraft, we play it all.
I've said this before in the past, but I always want to do like a, was it PTI or Around the Horn that did the mistakes recap at the end?
I don't remember which one. I know one of them did, but I don't remember which one it was.
Because you know me, I'm always like, oh shit, like gotta hide in plain sight. A gentleman that was not able to hide too much here this last Sunday, Shadeur Sanders. So the premise of tonight's episode is kind of injury focused. So we're going to be talking about a few teams and players where injuries are going to be shaking things up here, going from week 11 to week 12, but also a few teams where a quarterback has returned from injury and how that is going to impact PTI. Thank you, T-Sand. Thank you. But how it's going to impact the rest of that team here as this season starts to wrap up. Guys, I can't believe we're 3 months into the season. Mm-hmm. Week 12. Holy cow. Anyway, so Shadeur Sanders. Dan, does he take the bull by the horns? Does he solidify himself as not just the short-term starter here in Cleveland over Dylan Gabriel because he is going to be out with a concussion, but does he give himself the opportunity for a little bit longer of a shelf life and insulate his dynasty value?
Man, you guys know I'm rooting for him, and I'm a little bit of a Shadeur believer. And I think no matter what any of us say tonight, it's the most controversial take possible. we're in our game day chat, as we all are in our Dynasty Debbie Discord there. I couldn't believe like the split amount of like Shadeur is crap to he's the guy to he didn't have enough practice. Like there's a vast array of opinions on Shadeur and the Browns. So you got the 2-8 Browns, and here's my coaching take on it. And then I think it goes to football. Like one, I feel bad for the kid. Like maybe I shouldn't feel bad because there's others that like he's put a lot of the spotlight on him, and it's that Coach Prime spotlight that goes with being a Sanders. But he didn't get practice reps. And no backup quarterback in the NFL gets first string practice reps. So he goes into this game with no reps with the first team. So, he's a rookie. He's still learning. You're really getting thrown to the wolves at this point. So I don't really measure last week's performance against the Ravens as what the, future weeks are going to bring. So I personally still like him better than Dillon Gabriel. I think Dillon's a game manager. He does okay. He's going to be a good lifetime backup quarterback, not a believer. I'm not saying Shadeur here with any conviction is going to be better, but I do believe he's got those, guys, I love the genetics, right? I think he can run. He can scramble. He is a Sanders.
No, he cannot.
I just think there's more tools there. It just needs to be harnessed. So I'm going to be rooting for him this week, man, to hopefully make things a little bit difficult for that Cleveland coaching staff to want to bring Dillon Gabriel back. Not quite sure that'll happen. We'll see there.
So are you saying that Shadeur Sanders is not a game manager?
I'm saying he has more potential to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League, and hopefully with a week's reps versus a not great Raiders team, he could show a little bit more flash that has us going, okay. Like when you watch him roll out, there's a little Caleb Williams in him there, doing these like spin moves, avoiding pressure. He's not a statue back there. He made a couple plays. He takes too many sacks. There's no doubt about that. He's got to be able to learn to get rid of the ball and do some things, but we see a lot of rookie makes mistakes. So I like the quarterback that has more tools, more starting caliber NFL tools in Sanders than Dillon Gabriel. But we got to remember, this is a 2-8 team with very thin cabinets there. There's not much in there as far as wide receiver talent and production or O-line or overall talent on the offensive side of the ball.
I think that's like the perfect thing. So the Browns are by far the worst passing offense by almost any measurable stat this season. Guess what? They were the same last season. In 2023, they were bottom 5 in passing offense. Everyone loves Stefanski. They love him. Guess what? He hasn't done anything for the last 3 years. You could blame it on the quarterback. That he's the coach of that team for the last 3 years. He's pretty much had the worst passing offense in the league. I don't think Shadeur Sanders is going to be able to come in and elevate that because I don't think he's a talent elevator. Just like if you ask me Jared Goff on the Browns, Jared Goff would be god-awful on the Browns this year. There are just some quarterbacks who help the players around them get better. There's other quarterbacks who need a very good situation to do very good. I think that's Shadeur Sanders. I think if you put Shadeur Sanders with, let's go, Jacksonville this year, I think there's enough there to where you could see him be pretty good and stuff going on. I just don't think there's anything there with the Browns to work with. I don't think the coaching staff, I think it's very, very overrated because there's nothing you could really point to say like, no, they're going to turn it around. So for me, this isn't a Shadeur take. It's a more of the team situation that he's in. I don't think they're going to let him improve because I don't think there's enough there for him to improve, especially on that coaching staff.
JB, before you take this where it needs to go, if I could just add to Mitch's points there, I think our fantasy community, as we evaluate the Browns in this situation, as we evaluate the quarterback landscape, whether it's in these trade deadlines coming up or we're looking at our rosters for next year, it is so important. Like this is a dysfunctional Browns team. It's a new offensive coordinator this year, but I think we all saw the Matthew Stafford stats, right? And Mitch, man, you're the King Lions fan of this show. Mm-hmm. Until this weekend, he has a 500 lifetime record. If we didn't see that stat right now, we'd be like, this is a Hall of Fame quarterback. But your Detroit Lions went through a lot of tough years, right? Under Stafford, where he didn't have a complete team. I mean, I know we're talking maybe wins and losses versus fantasy stats. So, Stafford could put up those stats. But if a guy doesn't have the right situation, it either the win-loss category is a struggle or the stats struggle. So hey, we've seen some quarterbacks that are on like Daniel Jones, bad team, struggles. Good team, we see something different. And there's probably some other better examples I'm not thinking of right now, but I just think you're capturing that dysfunctional Brown situation is not a good one for the quarterback position in fantasy or real life. Hopefully in the offseason they can make some moves, but we haven't seen that in years.
I agree. John, is there any skill position guy you want to buy into right now? The only one that I really am trying to acquire is Fannin, because like every week the dude's just out there producing enough as a tight end. But besides that, I can't buy into anybody in this offense, no matter who the quarterback is.
I think the price point on Judkins makes him more attainable. Obviously throughout the earlier stages of the season, he had the higher touchdown rate whenever he was healthy. It's interesting with Shadeur Sanders because you have, and this is something that came up in the Discord, right? You have somebody say like it seems like there's just so much like hate around Shadeur Sanders. And anytime you have a very divisive player, anytime you have a player where you have the extremes, people love him or hate him, there is going to be that instant reaction. And oftentimes it's going to be an overreaction. I am not on the Shadeur Sanders bandwagon, slipping to the 5th round of the NFL draft, going to that Cleveland situation. I wasn't in love with it. And I'm not going to sit there and be a Shadeur Sanders apologist by any means. But you look at this very small sample size here from this last week, a lot of drops by the wide receivers. You look at the time to throw. I think his time to throw before he was pressured, I think it was like 2.2 seconds or something. It was horrendously low. But he does need to help out and alleviate that a little bit. But then it goes into the coaching aspect, which you guys talked about. You have 2 very good tight ends. You have guys that can win underneath. You have a running back that, even though he isn't exactly known for being a receiving back in Judkins, you have Dylan Sampson who can be a receiving back. Make it easier for your quarterback. And then even looking at the Dylan Gabriel situation, he is operating like the play action. I think it's less than 1% of his pass attempts. So it's not exactly like the offensive system is helping these quarterbacks in any way. And you see a lot of talk, well, Shadeur Sanders, he makes this team more exciting. It's probably going to be something where, because of that, he's going to get an opportunity here. But like you look at like Dylan Gabriel getting the ball out rather quickly, lower ADOT. Well, they kind of have to. And he's not going to keep the ball like Shadeur Sanders. He's not going to try to make those huge plays. So yes, less exciting, but I think the range of outcomes for a Shadeur Sanders is far greater from a ceiling and floor as opposed to, yes, that boring Dylan Gabriel. But it's going to be really difficult to see Shadeur Sanders, I think, excel in this offense. And if there is a time for it to happen, it's against a defense who, they just got lit up by your Cowboys. Am I saying the Cleveland Browns offense is the Dallas Cowboys offense? Absolutely not. But this has the potential to be a get right game for the Cleveland offense, or Max Crosby is going to have 37 sacks.
Sad thing is I'll probably stream that bad Vegas defense this week in certain formats in leagues. And I equally feel bad for Dylan Gabriel, who again is managing, doing the best he can. And the fans are booing him, wanting Sanders, who's not necessarily the answer. The head coach wanted Flacco and the team trades him. And Joe Flacco is the one guy that gave us some hope in fantasy football if you have any of these Browns assets. So and before that was Deshaun Watson, which was ugly. And there's a guy that had success in the past with the Houston Texans. So us as fantasy managers, guys, we got to figure some things out going into next season. And I think Cleveland will be interesting for us to dissect because, again, like Mitch said, other than Fannin, what are you doing with these weapons? We're still trying to figure out if Tillman's anything. Jerry Jeudy, we had a little bit of window of hope, and now I think it feels like we need to get out again. So I don't know. And then Judkins, he flashed when he had some time, made a couple runs, but if this passing game never gets better, his ceiling's even going to be capped.
Yeah, again, out of all the weapons that, the question that Mitch posed, I do think it's Harold Fannin. I do think he's become more attainable, especially up until this past week and a half because of the injury, but because of what we've seen Rondé Gadsden do. It's kind of overshadowed Harold Fannin. It's been the flavor of the week type situation. But if you can go out and acquire him at, I don't want to say the pre-hype price because that's never going to subside altogether, but I think there is that opportunity there. So to put a bow on this, Mitch, Shadeur Sanders, is this a quarterback? You're not contending. You're looking at your dynasty roster. You have a trade deadline quickly approaching. Is he somebody that you're targeting, especially if you have a veteran like would Jacoby Brissett and second for Shadeur Sanders and a third?
No. Honestly, I don't think his upside is high enough to even have him be a fantasy starter. I just think he's a bottom. At best, he's quarterback 25 on the season. Maybe gets up to quarterback 20 if he plays all season next year. I don't see any reason to spend any real capital on him because I think you could find someone else for a lot cheaper. And someone that's a lot easier to move if something happens to him.
Yeah, Dan, I'm a Sanders homer, and I don't disagree with Mitch. When I go after Sanders, it's kind of like a throw-in or an extra in some trade just because I want to root for him. But even that's kind of hard to get because people are holding out a little bit of hope if they have him on their roster. But more likely than not, this team is drafting a quarterback. I think I saw in the chat is that Stefanski probably getting fired, and I bet you Stefanski goes somewhere else and does well. Because I think, there's certain blame. We look at Stefanski not figuring out this offense and his reputation, but he hasn't been dealt an easy hand by that ownership group either. So there's a lot of variables there in that dysfunctional Cleveland Brown team.
This is an interesting comment from Metric Scout. Daryl Reuter, beat writer of the Browns, insinuated yesterday that bringing up Sanders as QB2 wasn't up to Stefanski. So, Dan, how much more dysfunction can we have in Cleveland?
It doesn't get any better than that, man. Are we still selling those T-shirts with the dysfunction on the back of the shirt, JB? We have that old shop still open.
Right. So yeah, to wrap things up here in Shadeur Sanders before we move on, this week is going to be make or break for his dynasty value. So this is when you want to make that bet one way or the other. Plant your flag, because if he goes out there and performs well, that ship, this late second value, that ship has sailed. But then he could go out there, have a 40% completion percentage, go back to the bench whenever Dylan Gabriel's healthy, and you would have wished that you stayed put. So I think now is the time to make your bet on Shadeur.
This could be a roller coaster to the end. We'll see.
So speaking of injuries, one of the situations where we have just a lot of injuries, the Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix, another knee injury. He's out. Drake London, he's injured. How does that look over the next few weeks? We'll see whenever he does come back. Mitch, the big question, Michael Penix, are you looking to buy low on Penix?
No, because like I was kind of bringing up with Shadeur Sanders, you're talking about you want upside with your quarterbacks, right? What is Penix legit upside? Maybe he could go out and have a Jared Goff 2024 season sometime, and it's amazing. Guess what? That kind of quarterback doesn't hold their value. You could look at it with when Tua had his big year, when, any pocket guy like Trevor Lawrence, who's never had a big year. But just those pocket passers have such a hard time maintaining value moving forward. And you're praying for those outlier years with them. That's like what you have to get. So with Penix, as much as I love the skill players around him, like Drake London's an absolute stud. Love everything about him. For me, there isn't enough there to want to pay that price when I'm okay just going out and starting someone that costs just a little bit less than him. Like, is there really a big difference between starting Michael Penix and Bryce Young? Sorry. Bryce
Love,
Love, way
wow.
back to the Stanford days. But, I mean,
Oh
there's
my
just
gosh.
not enough there. And, I mean, I know I could get Bryce Young for a little bit cheaper. Well, before this past week, what happened. But that's just how I
Things have changed, Mitchell. Things have changed with Bryce Young.
I know.
He's better than Mahomes and Lamar.
He's on his way back.
Young is one of those guys, and I always laugh to myself when I update my cross-positional tiers, which are part of the patreon.com/allgas and the DD fantasy football community. But I always laugh because there's certain quarterbacks, they go up one tier 1 week. Very next week, I put them back where they were. Following week, back one up tier, back where they were. And Bryce Young always seems to be one of those guys. It's like, can he string together a few of those good weeks back to back here? So first trade up here right behind us, you can see on dynastydaddy.com, Sam Darnold or Michael Penix in a 26-second, 12-team start 11 full PPR. Dan?
I'm gonna go Sam Darnold because I'm still a Seattle Seahawks believer, and I know this was the Sam Darnold game we were all afraid of with 5 interceptions this weekend. But I think he bounces right back this week and is back to putting good stats together. And I'll go with Mitchell's take on Penix, where, man, I don't see where this is going. I got a bad feeling about Atlanta. 2 years in a row, they're collapsing after a quick start and just really underachieving. I see Morris getting canned. The injuries are concerning and mounting with Penix. So I think Darnold's more solid footing despite getting that second-round pick.
Mitch?
Completely agree. It's Sam Darnold.
So I'm looking at, like, just to give more of an overarching look here. Would you take Stafford over Penix?
Yes. Yeah.
I would.
Now, if you're not contending, if things have gone south, would you move your Stafford for Penix?
I'd rather have Stafford.
I think I would rather
too,
have
man.
If I knew for sure that Stafford was going to play next year, and based on the way he's playing, I don't know. I think it's crazy to think that he would step away after this year. Frank, my man, Pickens for president, traded Brian Thomas away for my glorious Dallas King a few weeks ago. Never felt more alive.
Love it.
Oh, Frank, you're in Dan's good graces over there, man.
Frank, man, after last night, you had to be salivating. Pickens was beast mode last night, so kudos on that trade.
Is there any reason to really talk about this next one? Michael Penix and a 26 first for Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts by another first.
Yeah. Love that. I love being solid at the quarterback position.
Here, Mitch, I want your thoughts on this one because you hate Bo Nix. Bo Nix or Michael Penix in a 27 first, 12-team start 10, half PPR.
Bo Nix isn't great, but I'm still taking Bo Nix. He's going to be the starting quarterback there for the next 3 or 4 years. Even though I don't love him, I'll take that Bo Nix.
You'd be proud. I think I moved Penix. I moved Bo Nix 2 weeks ago in a league for a pick that looks like it's going to be 102.
That's awesome. Well
so
done.
I'm feeling pretty good because I'm joining Mitch, man. Mitch, we're on the same page today. A little too much, but I'm getting a little leery of Nix. But in that deal there, Denver still believes in him. He still is going to get fantasy production. Definitely the more stable situation.
Jared Goff for Michael Penix in a third. Brock Purdy for Michael Penix in a first. Michael Penix and Charbonnet for Brock Purdy. Is anybody taking the Michael Penix side in any of those?
Nope.
So if anything, and these are the most recent trades, I excluded the ones with like multiple pieces here. But Penix, Kirk Cousins in a 26 first for Dak, Chris Godwin in a third. I would do that for Dak, I think, by himself.
Same. I think the
Dak.
closest you could probably get is if you do Michael Penix for a Tua, just because Tua kind of always has that stink on him a little bit. I think that one's closer.
Yeah, scroll JB. There was a Tua one there somewhere.
I'm still taking Tua, but I think that's kind of the closest you can get right there. Tua for Michael Penix in a 26 third.
Isn't Tua like Penix's ceiling? Doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah.
But yet you feel the risk of both of those quarterbacks if you have them on your rosters. Talking to a close Miami fan this week who used to have season tickets, and what he believes, and he's pretty good on these things with the Dolphins, is, they're going to retain their head coach after this season. And Tua is going to get another year, and the head coach is going to get another year. So there's a little bit more of a window there with Tua to see where that goes.
Especially, I know the schedule lightens up a little bit here for the Dolphins, but if they continue fighting for McDaniels, I think he does stick around. The only one that I would move Lawrence for Michael Penix in a 26 first, just because what are you really getting from Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, I would do that one. Yep. But I would also move Lawrence for a lot of 26 firsts.
Right. Like just straight up, probably.
Yep. It's that first I'm going after, not Penix in that Trevor Lawrence trade. But I'd do it.
All right. So you had Michael Penix. Somehow you were relying on him. You are a contender. You're now potentially looking to backfill that by acquiring Kirk Cousins. Where do we draw that line? And it looks like a lot of people are setting that price at a fourth.
Yep. I'm trying to get a third. That's my hope, is to get a third out of him.
I would move away Kirk Cousins for a third. And I rarely want to move a quarterback that we're going to get multiple weeks for just a third. I've had offers of my Jacoby Brissett for a third. That's an easy decline for me because, we've talked about him possibly bridging a gap somewhere else if it's not Arizona next year because of this quarterback class. But Kirk Cousins, I think he's toast.
Same.
So if I could get a third, I saw a 28 second was up there. Absolutely. If I could do a 2-3 swap to get Kirk Cousins off my roster. So really, if I could acquire for a fourth or a pair of fourths, fine. But whenever I look at the guys that I think I would rather acquire, Brissett, Mariota, probably still even Joe Flacco, even though the Joe Burrow things are ramping up a little bit. Any other thoughts there on Kirk Cousins, guys?
I just don't think he gives you anything. There's nothing that he's shown us in the last 2 years to make you believe that, hey, especially going in, because if you're starting him now, you have to be a contending team, because why else would you even play Kirk Cousins? I mean, if you're rebuilding, why even start him, right? So it comes down to, do you think he's going to help you win weekly? And I can tell you right now, there's probably 30 other quarterbacks that I think are going to give me a better chance to win each week.
And Drake London being injured right now does not help. Right. I don't know where his status or what's next, but when this team doesn't have all their guns, when London's not there, this is a different team, man. That offense goes away. And I think this head coach is going on the hot seat here too. And here's a team that's struggling now, underachieving again. And they've traded their first round pick, which would be number 8 right now, to the Rams. They cannot be happy inside that building. So I'm interested to see what the plan is next year, but I think it's time to go in a different direction.
Let's say London hits IR, and even before that, if he doesn't, I think his price is going to be at a point where, especially if I'm not contending, that's somebody that I want to target.
Yeah, I was trying to today. Someone even put him up on the block. I just didn't have enough firepower to get there without giving away picks on a rebuild.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those tough things, but I completely agree with that.
I don't know, though. Too late 26 first or Drake London?
Oh, Drake London. Easy.
So
star receiver.
My thought is, even with picks, I would still maybe try to do something. But then again, if they're shopping Drake London, most of the time it's probably because they're looking for production.
They want a contender. Exactly. And I didn't have enough contending pieces to get there.
Frank says Mitch. I was the one that put London on the block.
There you go.
So you have a couple fourths coming your way, Frank.
There you go. On the way. I'll add some fab.
Any interest because of the Drake London situation? Any interest in Darnell Mooney? Any interest in
there's flex appeal there for Mooney. He's still getting 7 to 8 targets a game. He's not doing a lot with them,
right?
But it's better than a lot of flex wide receivers right now with how many injuries we have. So I'm okay if his price is a second. No, if I could get him for a couple thirds, I'd do that, but I won't pay a second for him because I think I could get a better wide receiver for my second.
Yeah, if your roster needs flex help, third would be probably the max I'd want to give, just for volume in these upcoming weeks, especially with all the injuries in the NFL.
And then from Jeremy, very quickly before we move on, any running back handcuffs that you might want to target for Kirk Cousins? And he says maybe Giddens. Blake Cora, maybe?
Yeah, he would be a good one. I was going to ask, what would you trade him for Chris Rodriguez?
Yeah. I think Chris Rodriguez gives you more from a bye week injury flex spot fill in than Kirk Cousins does from a super flex perspective.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, would you rather Chris Rodriguez or Bill right now? Like, that's where we are.
It's Chris Rodriguez. It is. Yeah.
But then they got Denver and at Minnesota coming up, Washington.
Oh, it's going to be tough.
It's useless for kind of 2 weeks. You'll get a game versus the Giants, and then the Eagles, not good. Cowboys, their run D looks good. Their secondary still needs a lot of work. And then the Eagles again. So Washington's schedule is terrible. So I'm going to say no to that, JB. Role-wise and what we've seen the last few weeks, yes to Chris Rodriguez. But with that schedule coming up, I'd rather shop for a different running back. I think you were right on with the Corum one. If you could get him, he's got a role there. If there was, God forbid, ever an injury, he really would have a role there. Probably can't get Tootin there with the Jaguars, but he's looking really good. Trying to think what other attainable handcuff running backs there are. Brian Robinson's been looking better, a little bit.
Like, the value I put on Brian Robinson is so much higher than it probably should be, because if McCaffrey goes down, there's just so much potential there. Knock on wood, because I do not want McCaffrey to go down. But
don't say it. We're going to talk about him.
I would be very surprised if Dan did that on purpose. But the little segue, 49ers striking gold. Brock Purdy comes back. Yes, it was against the Arizona Cardinals. But this offense, they did exactly what we would hope, right? Mm-hmm. It all went through Christian McCaffrey, and then all the targets were funneled to 3 players: McCaffrey, Jennings, and Kittle. And that's what we want from an offense, not one that sprinkles in 6, 7, 8 receiving options throughout the game. And then I was looking at it and I was like, maybe Ricky Pearsall, maybe he, they eased him back into it. He was tied with Jennings for route participation at 78%.
I don't know if he was rusty or something. I didn't watch all of it,
right,
of his snaps. But when I was watching here or there, man, he had a little trouble even getting off jams. Like, I don't know if he just had the tough matchup on that day or something. Obviously, there's better days ahead. Coach talked him up the week before of being kind of the veteran number 1 guy. But that Vikings offense is impressive. Their defense looks as bad as Dallas's defense looked weeks ago, and they were still overcome whatever obstacles they had in the day. Now, Arizona did some stupid things to keep the Niners in that game, but, man, for as much production as the Arizona offense put up, the Niners said, hey, we're okay. And it's a shame because of all the injuries they have, because this is a contending team that probably would have been a Super Bowl contender if they didn't lose all those defensive guys that they lost. But Purdy, man, hey, as long as he's healthy, and I would still recommend handcuffing Mac Jones just to hedge your bets, so in case he re-aggravates that turf toe or whatever it is. But, man, he's got weapons, and this offense is humming.
That's the thing. Just real quick, I was going to say, look at their schedule moving forward. Panthers, probably a win. Browns, it's going to be a win. Titans, win. They play at the Colts, which will be tough. Then they play Chicago. And then last week they play Seattle, but we don't care about that for fantasy. But, I mean, they're either going to be their implied totals are going to be very high for each of them. The games that are tough, they're going to have to score a lot of points, and the teams they're playing against that aren't good, they're going to be able to score a lot of points. So, like, every asset of this 49ers team, I want Purdy. I'm trying to look at all the teams now who have slipped below 500 that might have a Christian McCaffrey. I'm attacking McCaffrey. I want Kittle. I want Jennings. I want all of these guys because I think that schedule is so good. Like, this is the team that I am looking at that I'm trying to attack, even though they still do have that week 14 bye. I'm hoping I can lock some stuff up before then if I get these players on my team.
They might shoot out versus the Panthers in prime time with the almost 500-yard Bryce Young. And believe me, that Niners defense, I watched that game. Jacoby Brissett could have done whatever he wanted. They're very vulnerable, but they're two playoff teams right now. So that's going to be an interesting game to watch.
But you can see kind of that rapport that Brock Purdy has with these weapons, how everything gets funneled there. Whereas with Mac Jones, I think got spread out a little bit more. Like what Jawan Jennings is doing right now, that's what I like. That was my preseason, off-season expectation. If I want to pull it up eventually, my preseason tiers where I had Jawan Jennings, and then he went all the way down. And now I think he's pretty much back where he was before the season, but he's come back along. And then if we can get everything funneled, like you said, to Kittle, McCaffrey, Mitch, you posed a question. You said in our group DM, you're a contender, James Cook or Christian McCaffrey. Like, is that kind of a hot take? No.
It's not, because the Bills play the last 2 weeks of fantasy. I believe they have the Browns and they have the Eagles. I don't want to go against those defenses in the fantasy playoffs. Like, I want to avoid them as much as possible. And like, I've walked back. I was really worried about James Cook. I think James Cook is a top 6, top 7 dynasty running back. He's going to be that moving forward into next year. Christian McCaffrey is not going to be that high, but Christian McCaffrey is going to smash for the rest of the season. And those games with Cook, he's going to be hard to start. And so if you're on a true contender and you want to win, I think it's not a bad move to make.
Dan, somebody comes to you, you're contending, you're looking to solidify that running back position or move, a player down to your flex, and they offer you Christian McCaffrey for your Ashton Genty straight up.
Oh, God.
Now, after watching Genty in primetime versus my Cowboys, it's ugly right now in Las Vegas, that running game. One, they don't even run much. Chip Kelly got pass happy, and then when they did run, it was bad. I think the Raiders got a lot of soul searching to do this offseason. If I am oh man. In most cases, I'm going to say no, JB. I'm just against getting rid of that dynasty gem, that young, that talented, not get stuck in the moment of this bad Raiders offense and say, hey, it's got to get better next year. So I'm probably saying no, but I'm not saying there's not a situation where it's just too good to refuse, where you could get McCaffrey to help you win some good prize money. And, some of our leagues, the prize money is a little bit higher. So it depends.
If you look again, I have Dynasty Daddy's rankings pulled up right behind me just for a frame of reference. Christian McCaffrey, there is that gap from a value perspective still between Genty and McCaffrey. Achane, I've talked about him countless times. I don't think we need to get into that. But then above James Cook, above Amari Hampton, Saquon Barkley, Bucky Irving, you could probably get done like Quinshawn for McCaffrey if somebody's not contending.
Man, that's surprising to me looking at that, seeing Judkins so far over Henderson right now. That is surprising as hell to me.
Well,
the keep trade cut, on the other hand, will have Henderson first right now.
Running back 7.
Yeah.
Like
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But again, we know how reactionary the keep trade cut is, whereas, taking into account actual trades that have taken place, the Henderson value actually going down. I think with the next little update, that probably there's going to be a drastic shift.
Hey, real quick, before we move on, I want to answer this question from Matt. John.
This is a good one.
12-team PPR, 1 quarterback, start 7. And first of all, Matt, appreciate you, man. Traded early third for Brissett and a mid third. Quarterbacks I have are Jaden Daniels and Kyler Murray. Was now offered Shaheed for that mid third. I hope you're never in a situation in this format. I don't want to format shame.
Yep.
That's not what I'm doing here. Respect all formats. But I hope you're never in a situation where you have to start Shaheed with 6 position players.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that trade for Brissett is more than fine. Like, you're not giving up anything. You're getting a quarterback you could start, completely fine. But yeah, Shaheed really shouldn't be starting the majority of weeks in those settings.
Yeah, the trade he made for Brissett are the trades I like. Hey, I'll bump down a little bit, and I'm going to rely on my savvy and my studying. Hey, hopefully, you're subscribing and you're listening to all our draft content this offseason, and you pick a guy better than that person that picked ahead of you, and you got Brissett to help you hopefully win your league. But when it is start 7, to JB and Mitch's points, man, it's 7 man. Shaheed never really fits that role. It would take. That's my DFS brain starting to work there, thinking of a scenario where you'd start Shaheed in that perfect matchup and Darnold's projected to have 300 plus. But one start's not enough to give up a third in a start 7.
The only problem, if Darnold is like projected for 300 yards, 280 of them are going
go to
one
JSN.
One player only. Yeah. I mean, they're all just going to one guy.
And I like Shaheed. And if that's a start 10, I'll gladly move that third then. Yeah. But if you made that move, it's fine. It's fine. And everybody wants to do it, but I would much prefer to package up. But how many thirds are you going to have to package together to get something of consequence there? I saw the comment from you, Frank, by Mac. I talked about this a few weeks ago. I lumped him with Jacoby Brissett. He is not a quarterback that I'm just looking to move. Mitch, we co-managed several leagues together, and we had somebody that got a little snippy because they wanted Mac Jones for a 4th.
Yep.
And no, we're just going to keep him. We're just going to keep him.
Smart.
Because again, the toe injury, if something else happens, we know this system, Mac Jones can play well in it. And he showed that. So.
Yeah, Mac Jones and Jacoby Brissett have auditioned themselves back into an offseason quarterback conversation, and there's a lot of NFL teams that have got to figure out their quarterback situation.
Mac is still under contract.
Yeah, good. Hey, Purdy's got an injury history there too, so Mac's just put himself in a good position.
Yeah, and would the 49ers trade Mac Jones? I don't know why they would.
Yeah, I don't think they would. Yeah,
great security there, but again, somebody that I would love to have on my rosters. Do we want to go over the price points on Jennings or
no? Let's hit the
Pearsall?
Next one. I think the next one. There's a lot more fantasy implications going on right now.
And there are several questions that trickled in the comments that we can get to because it was about Justin Jefferson. And before we get there, hit like, subscribe to the channel. I know you're probably subscribed, but just in case you aren't, and then check out patreon.com/allgas. We got my cross positional tiers. We got extra shows within the Discord community. Guys are up on the stages constantly putting out tremendous content. A lot of good stuff there, a lot of bonus stuff that I think a lot of people are missing out on. So come check it out. But again, hit that like for us below. We'd appreciate it. So trouble in Minnesota.
Yep.
Mitch.
Yep.
Is JJ McCarthy ass?
So here's, I am not, this isn't hyperbole, however you say that. This is my honest, I want to say hyperboil, but that didn't sound right. Hyperbolic. Yeah. Okay. We'll go with that. So I don't think it's really a hot take, to be honest. So I spent an hour today comparing JJ McCarthy to Anthony Richardson from the passing standpoint. They're so close. They really are. JJ McCarthy has a very slightly higher touchdown percentage, but everything else, Anthony Richardson's a little bit better. And it's we absolutely kill Anthony Richardson for not being able to throw the ball. JJ McCarthy, everyone's it's okay. It's going to come to him. But you take the rushing upside from Anthony Richardson off, that is what you're getting from JJ McCarthy at this point. He is not good. He is terrible. I don't know how you could, maybe it's just you have so much faith in that coaching staff that you think he could bring him around. Thing is, I think Zach Wilson was a better thrower. I do. Hyperbole. Yeah. Hyperbole. Hey, there we go. We're just going to keep going with this. And
wait, real quick, what is that game where you sound out the words, but it's not spelled the right way? And then as you say it, other people try to guess.
No idea. I know the game you're talking about, but I never played it.
Oh my gosh. But No, not charades. I freaking know what charades is. But that's you were hyperbole. Anyway, all right.
But that's what my take on him is. I just don't think there's anything there that you could have faith in. And so then you go like the comments that we've had. Hey, what should I be doing with JJ McCarthy on a contender right now? With Justin Jefferson on a contender right now. And it's the good news is if I'm on a rebuild, I will get Justin Jefferson on every single one of my rebuilds if possible. Just like we were talking about Drake London earlier, those are the guys that I'm attacking on the rebuild to where they're having a little bit of a hiccup. Contenders are willing, to move off of him. I'm attacking that. But like if you're a contender, you have Jordan Addison. You can't play him. Hawkinson is flat out not startable. You have Aaron Jones who's giving you a little something. And outside of that, you have nothing. And so like just the quarterback alone is completely ruining like any fantasy upside. And so it's tough. Like if you have Justin Jefferson on a contender, you have to move him. Like what price are you really taking, right?
So Eric asks, would you take a late first for JJ McCarthy in a 14-team superflex? I wouldn't.
Oh, go. You wouldn't take a late first for him?
In a 14-team superflex? No.
100%.
No, challenge flag, Mitch. Like I know what you're saying talent-wise, and I think you did some good homework today because I see the struggles, but I've got to throw the challenge flag because in a 14-team superflex, you trade him for that late first, you might not have a quarterback at all. Like
you could get another one. That's the thing. It's not like you're trading him, then all of a sudden all the other quarterbacks you can't get. There are always the biggest thing with 14 teamers. There's always rebuilders. There always is, and there's almost always a quarterback you can attack. Having JJ McCarthy as your superflex quarterback is not helping you. It's going to make you feel good. Be like, hey, I'm putting JJ McCarthy in that superflex spot. Guess what? Put a position player in over him because he's not giving you anything better than, let me just go on, Quentin Johnston. I would bet you Quentin Johnston is averaging more points in a 14-team superflex league than JJ McCarthy is giving you right now.
He's had some goose eggs too, man. He's had some hot weeks, but
the thing is, that's the point.
But it's not even just start your super flex in that a positional player in that super flex, because when your starting quarterback has a bye, now you've got 0 quarterbacks to play on at least 1 week a year. And that 1 week a year could be the difference where you don't make the playoffs.
Then I need some quarterbacks in all of my leagues. Putting JJ McCarthy on your dynasty. You're not competing.
But sometimes it doesn't work that good, Mitch. Like we've both had good 14-team leagues where, hey, sometimes you're right and you can move and trade for a quarterback. But we've also been in situations where, man, that build just didn't quite work out how we wanted. And your league mates could be really stubborn sometime and do not want to trade it. And then again, you are stuck with no quarterback. So a late first, I think, I would find a different way into a different quarterback situation than just blindly trading a quarterback for a late
But that's
first.
The thing is, you could find another way.
I would rather position. I don't mind moving JJ McCarthy, and I have him as a playoff first in a 12-team league. But in the 14-league format, I would look to make a different move structure differently. Like I'm looking. No, there's a Cadillac says JB. The game is called Incoherent. There's another one I'm thinking of. I don't want to get hung up on this. It's going to drive me crazy. But a Sunday Fun Day 16-team league. Mitch, are you in that one?
Yeah, I'm in that one. I don't have any quarterbacks at the moment.
I mean, I'm 19-3. We play against the median. My team's pretty good, but I have JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to shop him.
Okay,
I'm gonna see, but it's not because the strength of my team and the way that it's shaped out so far. I would not look. No, it's not gibberish either. Chasing. I gotta look this up, but I'm gonna look to move him and see, because I still think there is that market. There is that hope. There is that thought that, hey, I'm not contending. JJ McCarthy is the type of quarterback I want. But to play the other side, Mitch's side here,
he's not kind of bad. He is awful.
All right, wait.
Hold on, really quick, Dan, really quick. Off-target throw percentage, okay? This is over the whole season. So Shadeur Sanders, he was at 44%. But again, very small sample size. Then you have Quinn Ewers, Drew Lock, Mitch Trubisky, Tyson Bagent. J.J. McCarthy's up next at 25%. 25% of his throws are off target. And can this improve? Yeah. And I think a lot of that hope, it still rides in the fact that Kevin O'Connell has been able to get the best out of so many quarterbacks. Just churn and burn, churn and burn. And I think that is what is in the back of people's minds, that they can right this ship here.
They could, and I could see this McCarthy scenario being a roller coaster, going a lot of different ways this year and next year. Not saying Mitch is not 100% right on his take. McCarthy's probably going to stay on this bottom half and eventually play himself out of a job, but he does fit in that category of the narrative changes, like you talked about earlier, John, of Bryce Young, right? You move him up, you move him back. You're in on him, you're out on him. I tried this weekend before the games, we're in the league where I have Bryce Young, to get out of him. Man, he had what? -4.4 the week before. He had 1.2 weeks before that. It was looking really bad for Bryce Young, right? I tried to get J.J. McCarthy just because I like all those weapons in Minnesota. He had that exciting win the week before, right? He's a likable kid. Could not get J.J. McCarthy in a Bryce Young deal. Thank God, right? I tried to get Sam Darnold from somebody. I could not get Sam Darnold. And I was offering Bryce Young plus, I think, some injured guys, but they were going to teams that are would want to get points off their roster. So I'm like, hey, take Mike Evans for next year. Take James Conner for next year. You know, I was trying to find that plus. I could not do it. Now the narrative changes 1 week later. McCarthy has this struggling game. But like Mitch, I think you got to play the game and not just dump him for a late first in a 14-team league. 12-team league, Mitch, you got all the flexibility where I think your studies on A-Rich, if you're just looking at his passing game, I really don't want to be on that frustrating roller coaster for the upcoming weeks.
So Chasing Breakers kind of has like the one thing, if you do like J.J. McCarthy, this is what you can look at. McCarthy has a few strong matchups to the end of the season. Maybe we get a Penix Bryce spike before the end, be off season to change the narrative. And it's true. You look at their, they play the Packers, they're going to get smashed. Like he's going to throw for 10 yards. But then they get Seattle, which is pretty tough game. But then they get Washington, Dallas, New York, and Detroit. I mean, those are very good matchups for him to be able to go out and dominate. So that's the thing, is like he's going to have every opportunity to do it through the end of the season. But if he doesn't do it, I mean, there is no value in him next year. We've seen these quarterbacks to when they don't perform going to the following year, it's almost impossible to move them off your roster. I mean, trying to move Trevor Lawrence for a first this past offseason was very, very hard to do. Then they got Cohen, and, you know, there was a little bit of hype there, and it was really hard. And maybe he goes out and does great, and that's awesome. But like I said, to very start off this conversation, he is Anthony Richardson bad as a passer. That's just how it is. That's with Justin Jefferson on his team. Anthony Richardson was throwing to like the bad Michael Pittman last year.
One thing we know is the Vikings have shown, last, it didn't work for them, but they are willing to pay another quarterback because they want to win now. If Danny Dimes accepted his offer, he would have still been there. Instead, he got a better offer with Indianapolis. So they could pivot and go in a different direction next year. We'll see. They need Jacoby Brissett, boys.
Yeah, that's what they need. Let's spend
working in Arizona.
5 minutes. Let's spend 5 minutes talking about Justin Jefferson trades, but more importantly, the most important takeaway, that game is called Mad Gab.
Oh, I'm so glad that we know. That's good.
The more I need, like, the rainbow, the more you know. But really quick, Justin Jefferson or Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Are we talking contending? Or are we talking? Because I take Jefferson over just about anybody if we're on a rebuild.
I saw a redraft question earlier, like what wide receivers?
Okay.
Amon-Ra
redraft. Yep.
Yeah, take Sun God.
Lamb, Puka, JSN. Yep. Yes.
No, smash. Yeah.
And then from a redraft perspective, Rashee Rice.
I take Rice.
They're sputtering too, but I think Kansas City will figure it out. For a redraft, I'll go with Rice.
Nico Collins. Again, redraft disclaimer.
Nico's hot, man. With Davis Mills.
Oh, Nico, sorry. I'm sorry. I was just.
No. George Pickens.
In redraft, it's hard not to take him. But now we're getting to the point to where it's like, well, Jefferson's pedigree is going to take over at some point. But
yeah, and we got to remember Mitch's point earlier too, man. Like you do look at that. If you could survive the next 2 weeks, the Packers in Seattle on the road, and I don't know if you could, because that might be enough to get you out of the playoffs. You won't.
It really
you won't get there. But if you know you're in the playoffs or I could get there, I would want J-Jet versus the Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. Hopefully your league doesn't go to week 17.
Yep.
All right, so here are some dynasty trades. Ooh. Justin Jefferson or George Kittle and A.J. Brown. 12 teams, start 11, half PPR, extra point for tight ends.
I think this is a great contender to a redraft trade. I like both sides if that's how you're looking at it.
If I'm in it to win it this year and we're starting 11, Kittle and Brown's probably going to help me more win this year. Any other scenario,
I still would have a really hard time. I still would have a really hard time making that move.
Same. I'm interested to see what the rest are because maybe that is the price point now. You know,
Kittle's the enticer there, but it's only half a point premium. So maybe if it was 2 point premium.
Let's look at this first one. Kamir DK, Ashton Genty, 26 second, or Jefferson Rodriguez in a fourth, 12 by
Jefferson.
10.
I don't care the settings. Jefferson.
Yeah,
I would take Jefferson too. Jefferson and Mike Evans or Lamb and Jawan Johnson?
Lamb,
baby. Go boys.
Justin Jefferson, James Cook in a 27 second, or Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, Tet McMillan, Travis Etienne, 12 by 10, half PPR.
Jefferson and Cook for me.
Same here, especially after the Chargers costed me in DraftKings this week. I had gems of picks in my lineups with the Chargers stack, and the Chargers just didn't show up. I'm so salty.
I'll take Jefferson and Cook. That's close for me.
Fun trade.
12 by 11, I might switch. But then the half PPR throw me off a little bit too. But then you kind of lean into James Cook more. Yeah, I'll go Jefferson. Cam Ward, Quentin Johnston in a 26 first, or Justin Jefferson, 12 by 10 full PPR.
Jefferson by a late first.
J-Jet. Ooh, Cam Ward looked bad.
Chasing Breakers just asked, will Mike Evans ever play football again? I think he's supposed to return this season, no?
He might come back in the playoffs, as long as and Tampa will be there. So,
and I hope
our playoffs, but real life playoffs.
And I hope he does though, and I hope he plays in 26 because I would hate to see him go out this way.
Yeah,
agreed.
Let's see here, a couple more. Oh, here's Lamar Jackson or Justin Jefferson and Kyler Murray, 12 by 10.
Lamar, baby.
I'll take
Ravens
Lamar.
got a plush schedule coming up too, boys. By Ravens.
Jefferson or London, 12 by 10 full PPR.
Jefferson.
J-Jet.
Jefferson or Travion Henderson.
J-Jet. Whew, we're drinking the Kool-Aid there.
And then Jefferson or a pair of 26 first and Jalen Coker. 12 by 10 full PPR.
Jefferson. It's kind of the trade that you brought up earlier, John.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Yeah, because I said it for London, and then we were seeing London for Jefferson. I think that could be, at this point in time, I think that could be like 102 and 103, and I would still take Jefferson.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not getting my Jeremiah Love at the 101, but you can get whoever you want after that.
And these are always the trades that interest me, where it's centered around a player that isn't necessarily producing, but non-contenders are looking to acquire, but then you're shipping off picks to make that trade. And we see it with this trade right below too, whereas it's not like you're getting production. Here, last one, I lied. Justin Jefferson or Dak Prescott in a 27 first, 12 by 10. Does your quarterback room come into play here as to which side you take?
I would have to be very, very confident in the rest of my roster to take the Dak side.
So normally, start up, we're taking J-Jeb first. It would have to be roster construction specific to need that trade.
Chasing Breaker says these last 2 trades are so unserious. But again, it shows that there are still some people out there. But as Dan always says, he wants to see the buy-in cost on that league. Because yes, there are oftentimes unserious trades here. There was so much that we didn't get to from the injuries that happened this week. A lot of those conversations are going on in the DD Fantasy Football Discord community. And, the conversations going 24/7, like we talk about each and every episode. And there were so many questions that popped up on the live chat here that we didn't get to. But if you want to, if you're not in the Discord community, drop it in the comments after the episode goes off live here. If you're watching back, throw your questions, comments, concerns in the comments here, and we'll get to them once we see them. But always the easiest way to get a hold of us is within the Discord community. Yep. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, patreon.com/allgas. A lot of great bonus content. Come check it out. For Mitch Sorensen, Dan Lamagna, I'm John Bauer. Catch everybody next week. Peace.